Hi, this is Direct from David, and I'm here with Ken Kaplan today in the Rockville section of Vernon. And we're going to see an extraordinary vision that Ken has that's taken an old mill here. All over the state we have mills in towns like this. You see the river here. We're on the bridge of the water that literally powered this mill. And it was a great source of industry. We got a great history that Ken's going to tell you all about, but it had fallen into disrepair. And as we walk across the space now, we're going to show you an extraordinary story of a before and an after of what this property looked like when Ken took it over, the vision that he has to turn it into a New England motorcycle museum, to bring all kinds of entertainment and people here. And so let me turn it over, Ken, just as we look at this building ahead here. Ken, when you came to this site, how long ago did you come here, and what did you see here?
About 7.5 years ago when we came on the site. I've lived in Rockville my whole life, Rockville, Vernon, so this is my hometown. And what I saw was potential, massive potential. And right in this very spot where we're standing right here, I had one of those moments in life where you get a moment of clarity and you're like, this is something, it's a mission, it's something that I have to do. And just the magnitude of the buildings and the potential is what got me. And you'll see when you come out back here what we saw when we got here.
So as you come in here, what you see is vision. Let's just give a shot to look around. Most people would look at this and they wouldn't see too much that excites them. This building that looks that we're looking at right ahead here, this looks like it's in a fair bit of disrepair. These other buildings here. Tell us a little bit about the history and what went on in this site before you took it over. Give us a little bit of the history as we walk around.
This was a textile factory for about 150 years, from 1814 till 1854, and it actually they made suits for the U.S. Army here. They actually made presidential inauguration suits for William B. McKinley and Roosevelt right in this building.
Really? So for two presidents, they made their inauguration suits in this factory?
Actually, 4 presidents.
4 presidents.
So generations.
And so as we look around here, we've got different buildings. Some of them are made out of wood. We've got some of them out of brick. This one is in concrete. What's the story with this concrete building?
Well, there's a 100-year span of construction from 1814. The last building was built in 1908. That's
so 1814, the first one, to 1908.
Almost 100 years. Yes.
Tremendous. And so as we walk in here, this building here, what you see the broken glass. Tell us a little bit about how you envision what may go on in this courtyard. Just give us an orientation for this is the before of what it might look like in general, and then let's go into that space there.
Well, this is a fantastic building. This was the original power plant for the building. It's 50 by 50 foot with 30-foot ceilings, all clear span, windows all the way around, with a massive chimney on it. We want to put, this is going to be a restaurant, bar, indoor and outdoor cooking with a massive fireplace where you can cook like 30 chickens at a time and barbecue.
30 chickens at a time?
Yeah, and a pig. We want to do pig roast here on the weekends.
Okay.
So, and when you walk in this building, what I see is massive potential.
When you say massive, let's just make sure that everybody sees. Look at this incredible space. So one of the things that is not possible to get when you build something new is you're not going to see anything like this.
No.
So if you think about the heritage of this state, the extraordinary history that we have here, it's not just mills from 1814. Look at the space that you have here. So people who maybe been to Brooklyn or have been to spaces that have been revitalized, tell us what you see in this kind of space.
In this space, this is going to be a world-class restaurant bar with a loft in the corner. It'll be a quarter of the space will be a loft. And this massive steel structure, we're going to cut the sides of it out and put motorcycles in there because it's a motorcycle museum. So it'll be like a Hard Rock Cafe, but motorcycle themed. And there'll be an indoor pizza oven and fireplace right there for cooking. So there'll be indoor, just like on the outside barbecue too. The smell of chicken and steak.
So this just, I wanted to give people the orientation of the before and the after. So this is your vision of what the space could look like. This is what this whole space looked like beforehand. Let's give them a sense of now, you've been at this for how long now?
6 years.
6 years. Let's take a look at, to show people what you've done. So take a look at this building here, just as we come out. Look at the finish on it, and let's go back and forth. This building used to look like that building over there.
Actually,
so
worse
again,
than that building, because that was a newer building.
Okay.
This one was falling down. We had to jack it up and replace the foundation and replace all the beams, and there was a tremendous amount of structural damage. That one's actually in great shape compared to this one.
Okay. Okay. Excuse me. So let's, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into this space. Why don't you we're going to go up into the space now. Look at the brick work on the outside. Absolutely spectacular. We're going to walk upstairs now, and we're going to see some of the space that's been finished, so you can see exactly what we're dealing with. And the space that Ken is going to show us, it's a motorcycle museum that he has been putting together, we're going to lead you up the stairway for the finishing. So Ken, tell us, as we're about to head up here, what are we about to see when we get to the second floor?
The second floor is a 10,000 square foot, it's a football field long with 12-foot ceilings. It's clear span space except for the wood beams in the middle. And that's going to be the main sales showroom for the motorcycle franchises and the motorcycle museum that's going to be moving in here. So,
okay, everybody, you ready for the big reveal? Let's come on in and let's show you what this space looks like. Look at this. Absolutely extraordinary. Tell us a little bit, Ken, about what went into making this space what it looks like today.
10 years of masonry labor, repointing all the bricks, 75 man years of labor into restoring the entire building. It's a 45,000 square foot building. Roughly just under $5 million was invested, $500 a square foot, which is very reasonable, considering the amount of work we had to do. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
That went into this.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
So this is what you see, and this space is absolutely magnificent.
Thank you, sir.
And why don't you tell us a little bit, not just about what you've done to make it look good, but it's taken a long time, and it's taken a lot of time and effort, and a lot of cost. So tell me a little bit about why it's taken so long and so much money in order to accomplish this.
Well, the building is on the state and federal historic parks list as a historic building, so we had to meet the state historic park. Let me shut this fan off real quick.
So again, we're just looking around here. It's spectacular space. As we go through, why don't we keep talking about it?
Sorry about that, I shut the fan off so we could hear, but.
No problem. So what's been the challenge? Why don't you tell me a little bit about these windows here? You were telling me a little bit before about, we want to make sure that there's historical authenticity for this building. We want to make sure that it looks right. But tell me a little bit about these windows and what you went through to have to put them in, the cost, the time, the expense.
Well, there's 287 all wood windows. By all wood, I mean, if you look, these aren't just in between the glass. This is wood on both sides of the glass. They have brass hinges, and it's a museum quality glass with 0 UV penetration, so motorcycles won't, and artwork won't decay in front of it while it sits here. But this is an all wooden frame, and if you look at the windowsill at the bottom, you see it's not perfectly straight. The building's 200 years old, made out of wood, so perfectly straight windows showed up and had to be carved to the exact fit of each window. So there was about 6 months of labor for a 10-man crew just doing the 287 windows, which
And just to understand this, what are the costs of these windows, and how does that compare if you had a more standard kind of?
We have gotten multiple quotes. There's only 4 companies in the country that make this type of window. It was $1,200 on average per window. We could have had Marvin or Anderson do name brand quality, modern aluminum windows that would look similar and been a lot less maintenance. For the average quote was around $325 each. We had one quote for $180. That was the lowest quote, so almost $1,000 less per window.
Almost $1,000 per less per window.
Well, these are magnificent windows. They're much nicer.
They're magnificent windows, but as you think about, this is not a residential location.
It's commercial.
This is for a commercial use. And so as you then think about the various costs that the state has put on your project, what have been what kind of regulatory process have you gone through?
I learned a lot of acronyms doing the project. OSTA, the Office of the State Traffic Authority. I didn't realize that we would get held up by about 1.5 years for getting the approval. They wanted us to put a stoplight at the end of the street. There's 150,000 square foot of buildings here, and resurrecting this capacity of buildings they thought would impact the traffic. So we had to hire a traffic study, and that was part of it. The amount of reporting to achieve certified historic restoration status for the State Historic Parks Office, that was extremely expensive. So just the permitting process, getting the permits changed, trying to navigate the very complicated tax credit program for the state and federal tax credits. So there's been a number of challenges.
We were just stopping off here. There's this extraordinary piece of artwork here. Just tell us a moment about how this extraordinary piece of artwork.
This is the museum. The motorcycle as art is really the theme of the museum, and this was a local artist his nickname is Metal Genius Joe Marandino. He donated this to the museum, and I'm going to see him today. He has some other artwork he wants to bring here. He did all the other artwork you see on the property. So the Guggenheim Museum, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or you may already know, their largest grossing exhibit they've ever had was the motorcycle. So the most mimicking what they did at the Guggenheim and also at the Museum of Contemporary Art, but we're featuring the motorcycle as art, not
And
modern.
tell us, as we now head upstairs, we're just going to give you a little bit of a tour through here of some of the recognition you've had over the course of the last 6 years, and then we're going to take you upstairs and we're going to start seeing the motorcycles. So what kind of recognition have you been getting about what you've been doing to date?
I think, well, we were on the front cover of the Connecticut magazine, revamping forgotten factories from forgotten to functional. So that was a big thing. Well, back in the day, Teddy Roosevelt wrote a letter to the mill owner. That was before my time, but for generations, 4 presidents had their suits made here. We were on the front cover of Throttle magazine. It's a motorcycle magazine. That's one of the motorcycles in our museum. I started the Rockville Volunteer Services group, so there's been a lot of articles in the paper. This is kind of very emotional when I read this article, but that's a really fantastic article. It was written about the project and the volunteer
Just to
team.
give you a sense for it of what's to come is the New England Motorcycle Museum. So what I'd like to do now is let's walk upstairs to the 3rd floor. Tell us a little bit as we walk, and I'll let you lead us.
I just want to show you one of probably my highest and most appreciated award was from one of the senators, Senator Tony Guglielmo and State Representative Tim Ackert and Claire Janowski, for taking on the enormous effort of restoring a 200-year-old historic mill and making it a world-class destination, a hotspot for motorcycle enthusiasts, and additionally for the volunteer crew that I set up. So this was awesome, getting one from the state, one from the mayor, one from the Vernon Republican Town Committee, 2 from the Chamber of Commerce, 1 from the local school system,
Lots
one
of
from
recognition.
The chief of police gave me a citation, and it didn't have a court appearance attached.
Okay,
so that was good. Yeah.
Good stuff. So what I want to talk about now is, and you lead us up to the 3rd floor. We get more and more going here. You've talked about how you had inspiration for this from the North Adams Museum.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about what happened there, what kind of economic impact it had, so as we think about what kind of impact when this project is done it can have on you.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. The State Department of Economic Development for Massachusetts did a 10-year impact study of Mass MoCA. Mass MoCA is the twin to this project, roughly the same amount of buildings, the same amount of space, about 200,000 square foot. And they've been averaging 10,000 visitors a month, mostly out of the area codes. They bought, on average, I think it was $11 million in tax revenue. I have the 2017 report I want to read to you, just a paragraph out of it, the summary that's in the showroom of what it did for the area, because it's a total paradigm shift. The property values across the street on an abandoned mill double and triple when you put a $20 million museum across the street.
Yeah.
So already people have been buying houses.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 houses, including the one we bought next door and restored, so the property values go through the roof.
Huge economic impact. And so look here, let's just see some of the bikes here, and then we're going to literally walk across a bridge to show you the best of what you've got. What kind of bikes are we looking at over here?
Our family has a heritage of racing, so we have a lot of racing motorcycles here. We've won 26 New England championships. My daughter's the only girl in the history of motocross ever to beat the boys in New England. She won 4 championships. Kenny's won 6. I won 14. So
Terrific.
we raced. So we did a lot of racing, and there's a lot of racing bikes and a lot of vintage motorcycles, Indians, Harley Davidsons, BSAs, Hondas, the stuff that excites today's motorcyclists. The demographic of our clients, most of them are in the 50 to 75-year-old age, and a lot of them are really into the bikes from the 60s and 70s because that's what speaks to their childhood. So we have a lot of representation of those kind of motorcycles. Like these vintage Hondas are super popular.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do now is what we're going to do is the last part of this visit is we're going to go over the bridge and we're going to go into what the future will look like.
Okay.
And in some ways it's a wonderful metaphor. Here it is, you saw something that began in 1814. It drew upon some of the great heritage we have in the state.
Yes.
I think about the state of Connecticut as this place used to be the best place in the country to live, work, and raise a family. It was based on our great location. We had tremendous assets like the rivers that were harnessed to build the potential for the mills. We were productive, we grew, we prospered. It's fallen into disrepair through bad management. But now with somebody with vision,
Yes.
somebody who understands that potential, we can rebuild that. And so what you have done is literally you built a bridge from the past to the future. And as we walk across this bridge, that you can see from one building to the next, and you see the different logos of the different manufacturers. We're going to finish up as you show off really what this project looks like in its very, very best form. And so Ken, tell us about what we're seeing here.
These are the some of the museum bikes. We've got a 46 Indian from the New York Police Department, a 48 Chief. We have a military Indian. Then we have a 4-cylinder Nimbus from the UK, a British BSA, English British, Indian, and the Triumph. So these are all world-class museum motorcycles that are. The motorcycle becomes art once it achieves antique status. So it's more of an artwork than it is transportation at that point. So. And this is just this is what the main showroom will look like once it's fully furnished.
Quite spectacular.
Thank you.
So as we walked around to go from an area that was fallen into blight and disrepair, to see this kind of vision, it's nothing short of awesome.
Thank you.
And that is, I think about our state. I have 5 children, and I think about building it for the future. And you have your son Ken with you.
Absolutely.
As part of what he's done. Your children are important to you.
Yes, sir.
We're all about building the future. And you talked about creating not only a strong today, but creating a legacy for the future.
Absolutely.
And so
Something
I want
to be proud of.
something to be proud of, something for
the town,
not only
the
for
community.
ourselves, for the community,
And the
for the
state.
generations and the state that follows. So Ken, I want to thank you very much for taking us on this tour. I look forward to coming back here as this continues to develop and we see your vision turned into a reality.
Thank you very much for coming today. I really
Thank you
appreciate your
very
time.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.